Hello and welcome to COP from ESG Mena on what should be the last day. Today I'm joined by Kurtz, who is the founder and CEO of Pure Harvest, and Storm Van Zyl, who is the CEO of RedSea's. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys.
Thank you for having us.
So, of course, we're currently experiencing an incredibly challenging time in terms of climate, in terms of food. It's been a key topic centralised within COP debates, although many have argued not enough. I was wondering if you can tell me a little bit about how your operations are tackling the sort of food insecurity crisis as the climate crisis intensifies, and the role of the acquisition that you guys have recently just signed and how that plays into things.
Well, RedSea's is a technology provider for low and medium income farmers, as well as controlled environment farmers. And really what our technologies strive to do is to reduce the environmental impact of water use and electricity use within the greenhouse environment, as well as promote a healthier yield for the crop. And we're able to do that by leveraging some advanced optical technologies with our Iris Second Sky roofing solution, and through the use of adopting that within your greenhouse or open tunnel environment, you're able to save both water and electricity. So we really see our technology as being an easy adoptive solution that can immediately make an impact on climate and sustainability within the ag sector.
Yeah, and building on that, Pure Harvest Smart Farms is a technology-enabled agribusiness. So we design, procure, construct, and then operate climate-controlled growing solutions to enable year-round production of food in harsh environments, and really aiming to have a more sustainable farming production method in, really frontier places. So places where heat or humidity or environmental challenges render it difficult to grow fresh produce in high quality, safe, and sustainable ways. So that's what we're doing. Now to the acquisition, we are acquiring RedSea Farms' existing farm asset and operation in Saudi Arabia. And RedSea, like Pure Harvest, we were early innovators, both tackling technology solutions to farming the impossible. And now RedSea is pivoting to fully be a technology focused company, and we will be partnering with them in acquiring their technology and utilizing it in the greenhouse that we're acquiring. But of course, we are continuing to focus on farming, right? We are farm operators and builders. But also, what's unique about this partnership together with RedSea is that we are actually proving for the first time what we call the franchise farming model. So a way to partner with incumbent farmers to support them and provide our capabilities to bring them into the next generation of farming. Rather than building new capacity in markets, we want to find another way to scale more quickly and bring these solutions to the market in a faster way together with RedSea. Ideally, this will be our first time partnering in their technology, but we see great promise in its capabilities.
And we've heard a lot over the course of COP about the need for holistic approaches to food and to agriculture. I was wondering if you could both give me sort of your insights as well on how we meld this sort of tech-informed approach with regenerative farming approaches as well.
Maybe commenting on ag generally, I think for the first time it's been a central topic that food systems have a dramatic impact on carbon and on the climate change narrative. And I think that's a great thing, and I think it's huge progress. There's been discussions on climate finance, on what are the sources of carbon within the value chain of food systems, and I think that's been a narrative that is louder than ever before in any COP, and I think is central. But I think with regards to solutions, I think finance available to farmers, both to drive more resource efficient production methods and the adoption of solutions that allow them to farm better in a climate challenged world, I think has been discussed, and I think that's progress. But with the discussion about regenerative farming, I think it's a challenging one, because I think that while I believe in the philosophy and the idea of regenerative farming, there are some challenges to date in the scalability of the solution, in the production economics of that solution. And I fear that we have yet to see the models, and I didn't see them articulated this week, that actually could be scaled into farmers all over the world to make possible more safe, sustainable, resilient, and efficient farming methods. So I think there's more to do there, and I'm actually great. I think it's wonderful that at this COP the dialogue's been raised, and I think there'll be a lot of discussion after COP that I think will further those narratives, and I think that's really exciting.
Storm, would you like to contribute your insights as well?
I guess just to say that our partnership with Pure Harvest in this kind of acquisition is really how we see being able to scale to get to market and really make a big impact with our technology, but also with other technologies, and other technology players in the industry. And I think without these kind of partnerships, it's going to be very difficult to do that. The whole ecosystem has to function together. Sky alluded to the climate financing before, and I think that's another key component that the two of us need to focus on bringing into the loop to make sure that both the franchise farming model can be rolled out at scale, as well as the adoption of these new and amazing technologies that deliver these sustainable impacts.
Thank you. And of course, we're seeing incredibly exciting innovations when it comes to food and agriculture. But I was wondering if you could both tell me a little bit about some of the challenges that the industry is currently facing right now in terms of headwinds, and sort of how you're working to sort of overcome those barriers.
Yeah, interestingly, controlled environment ag broadly, but I'll even step back further and say agtech, technologies that tackle efficiency of production side of farming, because there's also the demand side. There's food demand, food waste. There's a broad constellation of technologies and services that are tackling the food system problem. But focusing on where I think there's been a bit of malaise in the production side of technologies, including in controlled environment ag, like what we do, there was a period of time where this was seen as quite novel and exciting, and tremendous investment accelerated in the sector. And unfortunately, I believe some of that, a bit of irrational exuberance, there were investments made in technologies that were not yet proven, the commercial or viability of that solution not yet proven. And while the claims and the promise and potential was significant, some of these companies don't exist anymore, right? There's been a spate of bankruptcies and failures that I think has unfortunately resulted in, now we're in the trough of disillusionment, right? Where investors and governments are uncertain about what bets are real. And of course, that's a challenging time, but we're not the first to experience that. Renewable energy experienced that. There was a huge boom early on when renewable energy solutions and clean energy technologies were in their nascency. Massive overinvestment, a lot of excitement about the promise of cost curves, et cetera. When it didn't materialize, huge rationalization occurred. But yet, here we are today, where mass adoption, commercial solutions, cost curves are heading in the right direction. So my comment on this is, I fear and I caution investors and governments and others, don't throw the baby with the bathwater, right? There are real and viable commercial solutions like ours, like Red Sea Farms, where technologies that really have proven not only providing value and more resource efficient farming, but also proving to be economic, that it's actually compelling to adopt these solutions and address our food system challenges.
And Storm, would you like to share your insights there as well?
So I think maybe just to add the obvious one, being at COP, I think one of the biggest challenges facing growers around the world is obviously adapting to changing climate, right? I mean, that really is obvious. And even in controlled agriculture, in the environment, you still have to maintain it as that controlled environment. So being able to adapt to the environment around you is critical. And obviously you're even more exposed when you're not in a controlled environment. So certainly for farming operators and producers, I think that's really the key challenge to solve, and will have a marked impact on contributing towards food security, as well as sustainability objectives if we get that right, with the help of technology, But it's really important to work in partnership with a producer or a grower during this. To Sky's point around, there's loads of amazing ideas, and many have failed, and a lot of it is due to not setting up these strong bonds in the ecosystem between the two, where you're actually proving out the technology in an operational environment with loads of the environmental factors that come at you daily, which is unpredictable. And I think that's something that we've been really focused on, is designing a technology that can handle all those shocks, if you like, and is very much focused on climate adaptivity and still being a sustainable solution within that.
If I could add one other comment. So my background, I used to be a technology investor before I became an entrepreneur. And one of the themes I saw that was often successful in solutions is what I call FUBU technology, for us, by us. One of the things I admire about the approach that Red Sea took in its IRIS solution, for example, is they were commercializing technology out of KAUST and intelligent technology for heat blocking, but then they actually farmed. They stood in the shoes of their customer and trialed and learned the challenges of the customer, which I think makes the solution design more authentic, the realities of its cost and economic impacts real and understood. And I think that more of that is a good thing. And I think that's why even now they've studied this solution, and now they're commercializing it to other farms and exiting the farming business, which of course we are excited to step in their shoes and carry the torch. But I would say that I think that some of the solutions that come out of these FUBU development methods are going to be what you see successful. We've of course had our own challenges. It wasn't like the first pilot farm we ever built was the panacea to farming. We learned from it, and we call it fail small and win big. And we navigated a lot of failures to eventually develop a solution that produces the quality and the consistency that you see here. But I think that that's a differentiating point to the solutions that will win in the future.
And just finally, of course, at this COP for the first time, we've seen a food day, a day dedicated to food and agriculture. And from walking around both the green zone and the blue zone and talking to different parties, there have been a lot more conversations about the role of food systems transformation in tackling the climate crisis. But of course, as well, yesterday evening, the most recent draft text came out of the global stocktake, and food systems had a very, very small mention to the disappointment of many within the industry. So I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on that development and what you see coming ahead, and also what you're hoping as well for the outcome.
I am disappointed that I think that maybe the industry and the regulators could have committed more significantly to decarbonizing the food system. And really, in the end, food is energy. We even say we're an energy company. And why is that? Well, if you look at the chemical process of photosynthesis, it's sunlight or energy, could be artificial light, CO2, water and nutrients, right? So interestingly, two of the elements of the building block of building food are really highly related to what we're talking about with COP and with decarbonization. So I think that it is central to the identity of our industry. And not only is it in the energy consumption and transportation energy consumption, the waste, but also in fertilizers, right? And how we farm and the methods, the resource intensiveness of that and the carbon footprint of that. So my personal view is I'm disappointed to see we didn't go farther. I am pleased though, and I want to, maybe I'm an ever optimist, the fact that it was on the center stage as a discussion at COP for the first time, I'm hopeful it'll be back in 29. And I also believe that it's woken people up to the importance of thinking about the environmental impact of the food on your plate. And I think that gives us a lot to work with too as technology partners and farmers, food producers. If we can speak to customers and have them care about the meaning of what's on their plate, and then leveraging the global footprint that COP provided to this narrative, I think that it gives us a lot to work with too, independent of the commitments made at the G2G level, right?
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with Scott. It is disappointing, but I think also being an optimist in that I really see an opportunity for companies like ours, and a huge responsibility too, where, you know, if it's not going to be mandated in some way at a governmental level, this is going to have to be done in the private sector. And being part of that and being committed to that, I think, is a huge driver for everyone, certainly who works at RedSea, and I'm sure Pure Harvest too. And I think it's really, we need to get behind that now and, you know, focus on what we can actually do, involve more private sector partners, and ourselves build the ecosystem, not rely on someone else to do that. You know, there are plenty of amazing companies, amazing financing initiatives. We just really need to get in there, partner, and make sure that we actually take action and make it happen. Because talking about things is a first step, but actually implementing them and making them happen is why we're here.
Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for your interest in this.
Thank you.